Well, here's a little story in honor of the new Oppenheimer movie that came out, and the fact that I worked at Oak Ridge at the site of the Manhattan Project in my early days. I call this of atom bombs, duck and cover, and fallout shelters. When I was in the second grade, the evil Russian communists launched Sputnik, the first successful satellite, and everyone in America panicked. The Russians already had the atomic bomb and intercontinental rockets capable of striking anywhere in the country. Now, there was the fear of bombs dropping without warning from the enemy satellites. Civil defense became the watchword, and the government started printing pamphlets and sending civil defense wardens in Boy Scout uniforms to elementary schools across the nation to, frankly, scare the shit out of second graders. I remember the day they came to Miss Fryer's classroom at John A. Patton Elementary School. Miss Fryer introduced them, a man and a woman, and told us it was very important that we listen carefully. The civil defense people told us those evil commies were out to destroy us, and we needed to learn how to protect ourselves. They showed silent films of atomic bomb tests with houses flattened and tanks flying through the air and bodies, dummies, disintegrating in seconds. We called them atomic bombs in those days. I sat transfixed in horror at the visions of their mushroom clouds. They said we all needed to get underground fallout shelters, and if we did not have one, we needed to know where the public civil defense fallout shelters were located in our community. The government was stocking the shelters with food and water and cans marked with circles with yellow and black radiation symbols and red CD letters for civil defense. They gave us pamphlets with home fallout shelter illustrations, lists for stockpiling food, and instructions on how to use the toilet reservoir for a water source. They played a 45 p.m. recording of the National Emergency Broadcast System and told us that we should go home immediately or to the public fallout shelter when we heard the emergency broadcast message on our radio. Finally, they gave us another pamphlet on what to do if the attack came while we were at school. The title was Duck and Cover, and the front had a black and white drawing of children kneeling under their desk, eyes closed and their hands on top of their head. They had us stand and practice the maneuver several times. I don't know about the other children, but they were successful in scaring the crap out of me. I was shaking so badly that I was in danger of falling over as we practiced duck and cover a half a dozen times. The final bell rang as they finished, and I did not wait for the bus. I grabbed my pamphlets and ran the mile home to tell Mother we needed a fallout shelter and food before the bombs fell. Mother was ill and in bed asleep. So I went into our new indoor bathroom Dad had just added to our house and looked at the toilet. I was a bit skeptical about the toilet as an emergency water supply. At 45 pounds, it was a real struggle for me to get the heavy porcelain lid off, and I was scared I would break it. Finally, I successfully removed the lid, tentatively stuck my forefinger down in the water, and tasted it. I decided it didn't taste like pee, so it was probably all right. I headed out the back door and ran up to my father's shop, where I got his pick and shovel. I knew Dad worked really hard and was always tired, so I thought I would at least get a start on digging our shelter. The house was on the side of a hill, and our backyard was nothing but red clay and chert with the consistency of rock-hard concrete. I set out digging, but was so small I could hardly swing the pick. Mostly it just bounced off the clay, and I was becoming increasingly frustrated and frantic. About an hour passed and my father came home from work and over to where I was covered in sweat. I had only managed to dig a hole about 18 inches across and not even a foot deep. He asked what I thought I was doing. I told him all about the atomic bombs and the civil defense, who said we needed a bomb shelter. Usually my father would have been angry, but this time he just listened. When I finished, he quietly said, "Van, you don't have to worry about that. Let's fill this hole back up and put away the tools. I panicked and started to cry. But Daddy, they said we had to. He cut me off and put his hand on my shoulder and said he would take care of me and the family, and there was not any Russian he couldn't whip. I had my doubts. I'd seen the films and wondered how he could protect us from that. But here's my daddy, and I believed him. I helped refill the hole and reluctantly returned the tools to his shop. For years after that day, I suffered recurring nightmares, replaying the black and white film strips of the bomb blast with my family as the leading characters. Our bodies disintegrating, the house flattened, trees and cars flying through the air. Always I awoke from these nightmares sweating and shaking in abject terror, knowing that we did not have a fallout shelter. These days, on occasion, someone will post a duck and cover meme on social media as a boomer joke. In 1957, though, it was no joke to this second grader. Thank you.